Good evening and welcome to Law Talk, the show that brings you the law, the Constitution, and the events of the day to you. And tonight we're going to have three more exciting topics. So Mark, tell us what our topics are tonight.
Well, Jim, we've got the whistleblower impeachment for our first topic, and then we've got the Newsom Recall, and then we've got number 3 is going to be the open border Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson.
Well, obviously, if we're talking about open borders, we're talking about something exciting for our third topic. But let's go back to the whistleblower. Now, are we talking about whistleblower number 1, number 2, or are we talking about Shifty Schiff?
We're talking about door number 3. If you look under door number 3, there's something called the Organizational Crime and Corruption Project.
Boy, that sounds like an exciting name. What do they do?
Well, it's the OCCRP, and it's kind of funny because it's kind of ironic, because the Organizational Crime and Corruption Project is also run by George Soros.
Whoa! Wait a minute. George Soros?
Right.
Who's that guy?
Who also runs $1 trillion worth of heroin into the United States. So talk about organized crime. He knows about it.
He knows all about it.
Anyway, the whole thing was scripted by this Organizational Crime and Corruption Project, which is basically a Soros front group. And then they had some people in the ICPA, which is the Intelligence Community Protection Act, and I forget who it was, but on August 29th, like a week before, they changed all the rules. So anybody who basically works for Soros is now a whistleblower.
Okay, well, let me fill this in a little bit because I've actually followed along with this storyline. There was a phone call between President Trump and the Ukrainian
new president,
the new president of Ukraine. And during that phone call, there's always at least 6 intelligence officers that are there transcribing the entire call. Well, one of those 6 those people that were transcribing told another guy that I didn't like what was said. So that person became a whistleblower because guess what? He never heard one word from that call, didn't read the transcript, was told that something was said. But here's the trick part. Under that law change, it removed the requirement that you have to have first-hand knowledge to be a whistleblower. On all the bottom of the page, it said you have to have first-hand knowledge. And now it says, oh, however you find out.
Well, basically they took a bottle of white out and fixed that.
Yeah, white out.
So they took some white out there, but but if you look at the footnotes, those are the OCCRP. So the script was written by the OCCRP. So the guy really didn't hear anything. They found some guy, and I think they gave him a tip, a couple $1 million.
Well, it's funny.
Said, you sign this thing, go do this.
Yeah, but the real issue is, which law firm is handling the whistleblower? And funny enough, the law firm that's handling
that rose from the dead.
Rose from the dead. It turns out to be a law firm that supported Hillary Clinton.
Well,
defended Hillary Clinton.
Vince Foster once work for the Rose law firm?
But that was the original Rose law firm.
Okay, so Vince Foster was Hillary's lover back in those days.
Back in those days. But he got fired.
Yeah, he got fired. He got fired twice.
He got fired twice.
Once in the front, once in the back.
Yeah, and what's funny about that?
45 minutes apart.
The worst part is that was supposed to be a suicide. Okay, so but it's the reincarnation of that same law firm.
Same problem. Okay, but I mean that's the thing. That's why you got to ban guns, because you shoot yourself in 45 minutes, you shoot yourself again. Sooner or later, you're going to kill yourself.
Well, I got to tell you something. When you're committing suicide, you better use one gun only and do it right. You don't
over and over
again. How many times do you try to commit suicide with a gun?
And then there's no blood.
But here's what's funny about the whistleblower.
Okay.
This whistleblower says, I can't be revealed. But you know what's really funny? The Judicial Committee out of the Congress who's investigating this is run by, guess what? Adam Schiff.
Right.
Adam Schiff, by the way,
works for Soros too.
He's a Soros guy, completely bought and paid for by George Soros.
Yeah.
And you know what's really funny about Adam?
Yeah.
He was the guy all through the Mueller probe that said, I have evidence that he will be impeached.
Well, he said he had damning evidence. Conclusionary evidence that no one else in the world had.
Nobody else had.
And then when the day came, it was like, well, I must have lost that.
I must have lost that evidence.
The dog hate is over.
But here's what's funny. He's back again. Just when you thought he was gone, he's back.
Okay, so what Trump did, he extorted the president of Ukraine, and he says, if you don't investigate Biden's son, I'm basically not going to do anything. So, but Burisma is interesting because that's another Soros corporation. And what Burisma is...
by the way, that's the natural gas corporation in Ukraine.
In Ukraine. And
funny enough, the Obamas had a lot to do with that.
But you got to understand, there's $1 trillion worth of heroin coming out of Afghanistan. It goes through Ukraine, then it goes to Mexico. So really, Burisma is nothing but a money laundering operation for the heroin.
But do they have any natural gas?
Well, they have a little bit.
They must have something. But wait a minute.
I think they have a picture of some natural gas. But they got a lot of heroin.
Well, wait a minute. I have a question. Why would Burisma be such? Why would Donald Trump, the president, be asking about Burisma? Why would he even ask that question?
Well, that's because Burisma is connected with CrowdStrike, and so there was a guy that worked for Hillary Clinton campaign, and his name was Seth Rich.
Yes, I do remember that name. We all should.
And then when what it was, Debbie Weiserman and Donna Bazile rigged the primary, so then Hillary won the primary when Bernie should have won it, right?
Of course, Bernie should have won.
And
but they had the superdelegates.
And so yeah, they had more than that. They had some other things going on. But anyway, so what the point is, so Seth Rich went to work for Hillary after he worked for Bernie. And then Seth Rich was a younger guy, and so he's goofing around with the computers. The head of the DNC starts with a P. What's his name? Podesta. Podesta had a password on his computer, password. So that took like 3 seconds for this young kid who's used to computers to figure out. He went in there and he saw, wait a minute, they stole this from Bernie, who was my guy. So he took a thumb drive, he downloaded all the emails, he went to a park, he gave it to WikiLeaks. WikiLeaks published it and all this happened. And then 2 days later, Seth Rich fell down and shot himself in the back of the head.
No, actually, what's funny about Seth Rich, he was killed, allegedly in a robbery.
No, he fell down.
You know what's funny? But his wallet, his watch, by the way, a $1,000 watch, a wallet full of credit cards and money, and everything else, and it was an alleyway in Georgetown.
So
it's so crime-ridden.
Yeah, Georgetown.
It's crime-ridden.
Oh. So anyway, yeah, that's a wild territory.
That's wild territory.
Yeah, you know, like it's just like, oh, well, can I have my muffin with jam? So anyway, the point of the matter is, so the FBI comes and the DN says we've been hacked by the Russians, which is ridiculous because you couldn't wire transfer that information quickly enough. But anyway, so that
Wait a minute, let's go back to Burisma.
No, I'm circling around. Okay, so then the FBI goes, well, let's look at the server. And the DNC said, you can't look at the server. We're going to have CrowdStrike look at the server.
CrowdStrike. Wait a minute, where's that name again?
The CrowdStrike is another Soros front group, right?
I know.
So CrowdStrike looks at it and goes, it was the Russians and it was Trump. And so CrowdStrike is hooked up with Burisma. So the reason that Giuliani wanted to talk to CrowdStrike, because they're the ones that that framed Donald Trump. And Burisma is another front corporation for laundering money.
Wait a minute. Let's go back to the phone call, because the phone call was actually about Donald Trump talking to the new president of the Ukraine, indicating that, in fact, he was interested in investigating some of these old crimes that were going on, allegedly, with Vice President Biden. But what's funny is the transcript wasn't even released. Nobody allegedly knew it was in the transcript.
But Pelosi did.
But Pelosi, funny enough, and so did Schiff.
She slipped up.
And she slipped, and so did Schiff. But what's funny about this is they said, quid pro quo. We will give you $400 million of arms, but you must give us all the dirt on Biden. And now, what they turned it into? Another political 2020 argument. And guess what? And the poor intelligence officer in the room that didn't like it told his little buddy that never heard anything.
No, but then Adam Schiff said, I've never talked to this guy before. And then it turns out that he had.
Funny enough.
They framed the whole thing.
Funny enough.
They cooked up the whole thing. But anyway, Joe Biden's is somewhere between 3 and 7 million. I think we can establish.
You mean Hunter Biden?
I mean, Hunter got like 3 million from Burisma. And so that's kind of embarrassing. Because if you look at the Clintons taking $1 billion here and $1 billion here and $1 billion here, I mean,
what's 3 million?
3 million. That's
between friends. That's like pocket change. That's coffee on Sunday.
That is embarrassing.
Yeah, it is embarrassing. But not enough.
But Hunter did redeem himself, because then he took a $1.5 billion bribe from China in exchange for the $1.5 billion that Hunter got from China. And what they did is they put the money in a I think it was a Hong Kong bank that can leave the country. They never do that. And this is the Chinese government. This is just the Chinese government, the red Chinese. And in exchange for that, his dad gave them the South China Sea.
Well, that's just amazing. You know, I didn't know the South China Sea was only worth $1 billion.
1.5.
Well, 1.5 billion.
But it was cash.
But how many fish are in there?
No, but I mean it's cash.
Oh,
it's
cash.
not like a time payment.
Oh, yeah, cash.
And if you look at what Hillary only got 140 million for the Crimea.
Oh,
So
for the
Crimea.
Yeah, exactly.
So 140 million. So the Crimea purchase, Hillary got 140 million.
Okay, but wait a minute. What does that have with the whistleblower? What does that all have to do with the whistleblower?
Well, what they're saying is that the reason that Trump called the president because he wanted the Ukrainians to frame Joe Biden.
Oh, I guess President Trump said that on the phone call, right?
And that, well, if you listen to Adam Schiff, he explained that. I'm going to say it only 7 times. I'm going to say it only 7 times. I'm going to say it only 7 times. And so Adam Schiff told the truth in his own little world.
Yeah.
And then what happens is that. But the problem is, and then Joe Biden says this is all nonsense, none of the truth. Unfortunately, this videotape surfaces where he's in front of.
Okay, well let's hang on. We've got to hang on to the videotape. Why don't we go to our second subject?
Where he's bragging.
You're about ready to lead into a whole lot. We'll save that for next show.
Where he's bragging about getting the prosecutor fired.
I don't want to talk about Joe Biden bragging.
Okay. Anyway, so the next one is the Newsom recall.
Oh, which way? You talking about Gavin Newsom?
Gavin Newsom, I think he's the son-in-law or the nephew of Pelosi.
No. What he married into there's so many families. He was actually, his parents were best friends with the Geddes, and when the father and the mother got a divorce, the Geddes effectively adopted him.
Right.
And funny enough, the Geddes again. By the way, they're all over California politics.
Right.
But what happened is he's had the charmed life. You know, he's actually marched his way, and they're grooming him for president.
Yeah, sure.
But first thing you got to do is you got to control California, and you know why? It's got the largest income, and so you want to control the money. So what is he doing? What's he doing with the money in California there,
Well,
Mark?
first of all, okay, so we got a crime wave in the streets. I mean, you can't walk down the street without getting murdered or raped. Kickbacks and not in the trillions, but in the multi-hundreds of billions. From hundreds of billions, because you have the cartel bringing up, and it's just, they don't even stop the cartel. They just wave them through.
No, they wave them through.
They come right up Highway 5. They take a left at Sacramento, and it's just methamphetamine paradise.
Well, it's meth, it's coke, it's heroin.
Fentanyl.
Hey, what's a ton of coke between friends?
And they give away like free needles.
Free needles. And you know what the deal is?
Yeah.
You got to get free needles and free money
you
can use the cartel drugs.
Okay, and so then the kickbacks. So the kickbacks are huge. The mayor of San Francisco takes huge kickbacks from the drug cartel. Newsom's getting huge kickbacks from the drug cartel. They got to keep the border open.
The drug highway.
They got to keep the drug highway open. And not only that, they've got 5 or 10 million people voting Democrat who are illegal aliens.
Yeah, illegal. But wait a minute, isn't that when they bust them around by the thousands?
No, motor voters. They
motor
call
voters. Literally motor voters.
Okay, so kickbacks, boulders, stumblebums. When I'm saying boulders, like the citizens in San Francisco are so afraid of their young children being raped and murdered walking outside their door because there's encampments of murderers and rapists that they've stuck boulders on the sidewalks.
I saw that.
Okay,
it was pretty exciting.
And then the homeless. The vagrants and indigents, whatever you want to call them, they move the boulders into the street.
Oh my God!
And then Public Works said, we have to go on the side of the vagrants.
Oh!
So you guys, and of course you can't have a gun, so you can't
have a gun.
You walk outside.
You can't have a boulder.
And if you look at these quote-unquote vagrants and whatever you call them, degenerates around the street, in general, they all have deadly weapons. They've got baseball bats. They've got machetes.
Well, don't you have some experience with baseball bats?
Batter up!
Wait a minute. I'm not going to go with that story tonight, but there is a story because Mark lives in San Francisco.
Okay, so anyways, batter up. all these quote-unquote poor little vagrants, they have teardrops under their eyes, which means they've done a couple murders, they've done time. most of them are illegals that can't go back to El Salvador, and they can't go back to Mexico because they have a death sentence waiting for them. So the reason they're here is because they can't go back to their country because they've been convicted of murder multiple times.
Yeah.
So they're out in the street, running the street.
But what does that have to do with Gavin Newsom and his open borders?
Okay, and so we got incurable as epidemics. We got stumblebums, boulders, an epidemic of incurable, infectious, contagious diseases, flesh-eating bacteria, right? We got flesh-eating disease. We got cholera. We got the plague that no one's seen. Measles. Diseases we haven't seen since.
You got tuberculosis.
Tuberculosis you haven't seen since 1500s, and strains of it that there's
the Black Plague is coming back? I understand the Black Plague's back.
But LA
back for an encore.
Okay, and anyway, there's no drug for this because it's all mutated. Okay, so you've got freed felons, potholes, traffic jams, water soldiers, skyrocketing gas taxes and regulations, capital flight, closed businesses, voter fraud. What could go wrong? Okay, so
that's California.
That's California. And so what happened? They raised the gas tax, and then what did they do? They said because the roads are all broken. The roads are all broken. Your record. And so we're raising the gas tax. Guess what he did the other day, Gavin?
I have no idea.
He took the gas tax money and put it into the Green New Deal.
Oh, the Green New Deal.
Okay, and then everyone who worked for the government in the last 50 or 100 years gets a PERS, right?
Oh, that's SEIU.
Okay, well, PERS.
There it is.
PERS is now being leveraged for the Green New Deal. So if you have a retirement program, forget it. That's gone. So he took the gas tax, he took the PERS, but he's taking the heroin money.
Oh, he's got to take the heroin money.
Okay, so
and by the way, the cartels pay good money.
Okay, and so here's the point. There's a petition right now. So if you don't want them to take your parents, you don't want your children to be raped and murdered by heroin dealers and mass murderers, and you want to be able to walk out your door without being murdered, when the police can't do anything.
But
they will not show up. They won't show up because that would be discrimination against the murderers.
Discrimination against the homeless.
And so, like, if you don't want that on your street, because it's in San Francisco now, and I know what I'm talking about. It's
coming here.
And it's getting here soon.
It's coming to a street near you right now. In fact, San Jose's, you know what? They've been cleaning it out. And what's funny about San Jose is they used to have them all in the Guadalupe River until they wanted to make the Guadalupe walkway clean. So they cleaned them all of that. And now they're on Monterey Highway. And if you go down south of San Jose, down to Monterey Highway, you're not only on Route 66 to the homeless ghetto, but you're in Encampment City.
Well, I don't think we should call them. We should just call
they're not a ghetto.
We should just call them Newsom's troops.
These are Newsom's troops.
troops.
But I have a question. Are they Newsom's army of junkies?
They're Newsom's army of junkies. But the point of the matter is you can't walk down the street in San Francisco without stepping on a
needle or feces.
Which you could get or on human feces.
Yeah.
Okay, so anyway, there's a recall. You can sign the petition.
You can't get Newsom out because he's too entrenched.
But there's a petition going around. There's two of them actually.
Oh.
So if you want to sign the petition, you've got till February.
We've already had one recalled that worked.
Well, Gray Davis.
Gray Davis?
When he was playing the energy markets and lost billions of dollars like an idiot.
Well, that's because he knew he was better than us.
He was an idiot. Okay, so basically now what we have is the Green New Deal, and I think nothing better exemplifies the Green New Deal is PG&E. It says we're turning off electricity.
Oh, that's right.
Everyone go back to nature.
Everyone forgot about PG&E
so we're gonna
turning off the electricity.
We're going to take your gas taxes. We'll triple the price of gas. We're not going to build any dams. We're not going to build any roads.
No.
We're not going to repair any roads.
No.
You don't have police protection.
No.
Right? Someone can rob you, murder you. You can't fight back because that would be mean. Okay.
That would be mean.
And in exchange for that, you got the Green New Deal, which is like no food, no water, no safety, and no electricity, and no gas.
Well, I have a question. What are we supposed to do as a life?
You go to San Francisco.
Is it a wonderful life?
But look at these people on the street. That's what you're going to end up on. You're going to end up under a tarp, going to the bathroom on the street, and
well, you get free needle, and they're all free and clean.
And then you get free drugs.
But the funny part is when those free checks come out every month, the drug dealers just go down the street. Okay, it's time for this. It's time for that. But before we go on any further on free needles and free drugs, what's our third subject for the night?
Okay, so this is federal judge Ketanji Brown Jackson.
And who is that?
And she is an open border judge.
Open borders.
And she blocked the DHS process for expedited removal of illegal aliens caught at or near the border. So it used to be, if you were caught at the border, they'd just say, well, go on back. Now, if you're caught at the border, you get like $3,000 to $6,000 a month. You get free needles, free drugs.
Free drugs.
You get to murder people. They'll never ask for your ID.
They never ask for an ID.
You can steal up to $1,000 a time.
At any store you want to go to.
But that's just one visit. You can hit one store for $1,000, another store for $1,000, and one day you can make $20,000 or $30,000.
And guess what? You can't get prosecuted.
Oh, no,
because it's not grand theft. There's no such thing as grand theft.
No, then you get a ticket.
Oh!
It doesn't matter. You're not from here.
You're not from here anyway. Whose name you're using?
You buy an ID for $50. It doesn't make it. So you can rape, murder, do whatever you want. And so there's only like 1 billion people that are taking.
Wait a minute. Does this judge live in a neighborhood where that happens or not?
Well, so I'm sure she lives up in the upper district. So, okay, so anyway.
She doesn't live in Hunters Point.
And so what the ACLU, which is another Soros front group.
But wait a minute. The ACLU is such a wonderful
it's another Soros front group.
It's another wonderful
It's another Soros front group. So they're
Soros again.
No, that's
I mean, we're circling back to George.
Soros funds ACLU, and ACLU wants to make sure the drug freeway is open.
Well.
And so they argue that immigration courts and holding facilities are not overburdened.
They're overburdened.
No, they're saying they're not.
Oh, they're not.
And she ruled that immigration courts and the border and the holding facilities are not overburdened.
Well, you know, they're calling it not a crisis. Remember, it's not a
party.
It's a party.
It's a heroin party for the Democrats.
You know what the worst part about all this? The people in Hollywood Hills are going, yeah, there's no problem.
So anyway, the ACLU is going down to Mexico, and Soros is bringing people up.
Why is the ACLU going to Mexico?
And they're teaching people how to perjure themselves to get across the border.
Yes.
They're setting up fake families, which are kidnapped children, and they're going, oh, this is my kid. So the kid's got to go in. Once you go in with kid, then you can go deal drugs and murder as much as you want.
Yeah, but I think what you need to do is have DNA tests for these families, because they can identify.
That's invasive.
Invasive.
That's invasive.
It's invasive.
So the ACL teaches people how to perjure themselves to get across the border. How to perjure themselves.
How to lie.
How to perjure themselves.
How to lie.
How to perjure themselves.
Oh, really? You mean how to lie?
And how to kidnap children. And every one of those children is raped many times, and then they take them across the border and they reuse them until they rape them to death.
You know, that's terrible.
That's how it works.
But they're making sure they're getting full use out of them.
They get full use out of them. And not only that, then they sign them up and get them to vote.
Well, you
So
know,
the ACL's handling all that.
That's because they're motor voters.
They're motor
and
voters.
It doesn't matter how old you are.
You can drive in from Tijuana, vote.
Whoa, time to vote. Well, as long as you vote Democrat.
And then you've actually got a bunch of Democratic candidates going to Mexico to campaign.
In fact, that's interesting. I'm in Mexico City, and I got the largest crowds ever. Welcome aboard.
So it's like Trump has Trump rallies in the United States. Democrats have like Democratic rallies in Mexico.
Cabo San Lucas, Mazatlan, Puerto Vallarta.
So it's the open.
I had 10,000 in Puerto Vallarta.
It's the open drug freeway. It's Newsom. It's Ketanji Brown. It's Soros. It's a bunch of heroin dealers, and they're running the state of California.
Wait a minute, I have a question. Isn't this the tech state?
Well, they have high-tech heroin. They have fentanyl.
They have fentanyl.
Yeah, it's high-tech.
Yeah, but I understand.
This is not your old-fashioned.
It's not like the old-fashioned
heroin.
It's not like that
This
little
is
gooey black chocolate crap. This is the good stuff.
Well, you know, I think I forget what it is, but I think a kilo of heroin is worth like $20,000, $30,000, but a backpack of fentanyl is worth $60 million.
Well, you know what? A backpack of fentanyl can kill everybody in the United States.
But that's 60
One grain can kill somebody.
$60 million, one backpack.
Well, you know what?
It's big business.
So what? So everybody that climbs the border with a backpack, hey,
they don't climb the border. They let them by. They're waving them through. They're waving them through. And then Newsom's, Gavin's out there. Come on by, bring it.
Come on
by.
You got stuff like Sacramento first.
Just give me a piece of the action. So that's how it works.
But wait a minute, is that why they're impeaching him, because of drugs? Or is it they're impeaching him because of the environmental catastrophe of the bay filling up with syringes?
No, the reason that there's the petition call is mainly people, like if you look at San Francisco the last few weeks, about 15, 20 restaurants have just given up.
Well, they can't afford it.
You can't have a business where people come to your street and there's dead bodies and heroin and people raping. Nobody wants to come to the storefronts in San Francisco. The business are paying a lot of rent.
Yeah.
They're just throwing in the towel and saying,
I'm walking.
I can't do it.
I can't do it anymore.
Sacramento's the same thing.
Yeah, I
and
know.
LA's the same thing. You try to run a business in San Francisco, it's now what most places in San Francisco are doing, and I would do it, I'm doing it the landlord's going to hire off-duty cops. So basically, if I'm going to take, like, you know, a secretary to her Uber, I want an armed
guard.
Not an armed guard. It's got to be official police. They'll kill an armed guard. They know that an armed guard doesn't count because, you know, they can't do anything.
Yeah, but I thought we had all these laws.
The laws, forget
What are they called, the laws?
There's only one law. It's
The law.
It's the law of Newsom.
What about the law of the jungle?
It's the law of the jungle. It's the law of the heroin peddlers.
Well, I have
That's
a
what it is.
question. But is that why they want to impeach Newsom?
I think what the thing...
The recall.
The recall is based, I think, on a lot of people shutting down their businesses.
Because there's no enterprise.
Well, you can't... No customers want to come there. They're scared to death to get out of their cars.
Well, would you?
I think you want to have an armed guard.
But your office is in the city.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Do you feel like you need to concealed carry?
I would tell you that when I walk someone who works for me, sometimes we have two guys walk a girl to the Uber. I wouldn't let her walk from here to 20 feet away without an escort of two guys.
Well,
no girl in her right mind would walk on the sidewalk in
And
San
I
Francisco.
guarantee you,
This
no
is the
woman
middle
would
of the
leave
day.
a bar at 2 in the morning.
No, this is the middle of the day.
Oh, geez.
This is 12 noon. It's not safe to walk on the street of San Francisco now.
That's sad.
12 noon.
So what happens?
What happens is that everybody's going out of business.
Well, what's the city going to turn into?
It's a heroin fiesta.
It's a heroin fiesta. But wait a minute, is downtown turning into a ghost town?
It's turning into a heroin fiesta. Yeah, well, it's like one restaurant or another that have been there 20, 30, 40 years. Everyone's quitting.
They can't deal with it.
You can't. The customers are afraid to go near downtown.
And you know what else is going on? It's all the break-ins. You park a car, goodbye.
30 seconds later.
Yeah, you got your car's broken in.
Not only your car broken into, you come back, you have 10 people living in it, and they won't leave.
They're living in your car.
But
you can't evict them because you're in San
evict
Francisco.
them. No, you
can't evict anyone in San Francisco.
Yeah, so I'm just saying.
Even in your car.
So I think it's business owners are the ones who are kind of behind the recall because they're kind of like.
But it's not just San Francisco; it's Los Angeles as well.
Yeah, well, I just.
And what about San Diego?
Sacramento's the same problem.
Sacramento, San Diego, Los Angeles, San Francisco. So when you got the four major hubs.
Basically what it is, Newsom is like the teenager that you leave home for the weekend and
it's a party, baby.
And the babysitter goes over to her boyfriend's house and your 12-year-old has the house for 4 days.
Yeah,
and you come home and that's
everything's destroyed.
That's what California
is. And you know what he says? It's like, I didn't do anything wrong.
Credit card thief. So that's Newsom.
Call Uncle George.
He's a 12-year-old that wrecked the house over the weekend.
I don't understand any of this because you would think the benefit of the California and its population had nothing to do with open borders, free drugs, no police. You would think all of that would kind of change the dynamics.
There's so much money in the heroin that the Silicon Valley means nothing. The freeways need nothing. The business. Newsom makes so much money smuggling and peddling heroin, he doesn't need any other business.
Well, I got a question. Has he ever been caught?
There's nothing illegal about the Newsoms. They're above the law. There's no law. The FBI, the CIA is not going to touch Newsom. Pelosi? Come on. Soros? They own the FBI. They own the CIA. They own the Department of Justice. No one's going to catch them because they all work for Soros. Because they're paid off.
Well, boy, this is one scary story tonight, Mark. I have to tell you, I'm not too happy about listening to this. But is that why they want to recall Newsom?
That's why they want to recall Newsom.
Just all of that?
I would say, well, I gave you the list.
Well, wait a minute. What else?
It's the kickbacks, the boulders, the stumblebums, the epidemic of incurable, infectious, contagious disease, free felons, potholes, traffic jams, water shortages, skyrocketing gas taxes, regulations, capital flight, closed businesses, voter fraud. What could go wrong?
Well, what could go wrong with California with that list? It's nothing but excitement. Every day is a new challenge in California.
Every day is fun.
Well, I got to tell you, Mark, that's a scary story.
That's the way it goes.
Is that the way it's going to go?
Well, there's big money. Money talks.
Money talks, and the rest of us walk.
The rest of us walk.
You know, I hate